I'd like to welcome everyone to MoShape's candidate for president-elect town hall meeting. We'll ask our candidate a series of questions in an effort to find out a little more about how they think and what their plans are for MoShape. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind everyone about our annual MoShape convention coming up in just about 2 weeks. The theme this year is Level Up. Our pre-convention sessions start on Friday morning, November 12th, with our opening session starting at noon. We have approximately 80 sessions to choose from over the weekend. The 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year, Darian D.C. Cockrell, is our keynote speaker at both the opening session and at the banquet. We'll have game nights on both Friday and Saturday, and at all convention social on Friday. The schedule for the convention has been put on our social media and can be found by searching MoShape in the Sketch app or online at moshape21.sched.com. Our health and safety procedures for the convention can be found on all MoShape social media sites. We can't wait to see everyone there. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Anna Forcelledo, our current president-elect, to introduce the candidate for our upcoming president-elect position. Anna, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and welcome everybody to tonight, and welcome to our honored guest, our president-elect nominee, Guy Danhoff. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight for us to allow you to get to know you a little bit more. So let's jump right in. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your history and your involvement with MoShape and as an health and physical education educator. We can't hear you.
Mic is off.
He's a soft-spoken individual.
It was working.
No.
Everything was good.
There we go.
You hear it now? Yeah.
That's better.
All right. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to MoShape, certainly to our members, to our executive committee, and to all of our board of directors. And I just want to tell you what an honor it is to be here in this capacity. Obviously, as I was joking before we got on air, I usually play the role that Chris is playing right now, and that's certainly a comfortable place because Anna and Jody know that from last year. But no, to tell you a little bit about myself, I actually want to start with my why. You know, I had originally spent 14 years once I got out of college, went to Western Illinois University. I studied corporate fitness with my bachelor's degree, then went on to get my master's in exercise science. And for those of you who may have ever run a max VO2 test, my master's work was validating the Hans Rudolph face mask. So I had the very first published study in the world validating the face mask versus the traditional nose clip and mouthpiece. So that was kind of my claim to fame back in my early 20s. And then I became a strength coach for 4 years at the Division I level. Then I got into the business of fitness for 14 years, was involved in sales management, and then eventually became the director of fitness technology, where the whole technology part came into, and of course with that, writing more grants and things like that. And then after the birth of my third daughter, Gia, I decided to not travel all over North America anymore. And I wanted to get back into teaching, which was my first love. And I've been teaching at Missouri Baptist University for over 13 years. I teach in the Health and Sports Sciences Division, and I've also taught in our School of Business, entrepreneurship and management. And currently I serve as our graduate fitness management and sport management graduate coordinator for those programs. And my main expertise in teaching would come no surprise to anyone is entrepreneurship, is sport and social media, sport marketing, sport public relations, fitness management, and then a class that's actually very relevant to MoShape is senior seminar, which is preparing students to make that transition to the real world. And which is why I got involved in MoShape right away, actually, during my very first year. So I've been at MoShape since basically 2008 when I first got into teaching. And Shortly thereafter, I got involved in serving, and I just can't thank enough people for that opportunity, because I began actually with, appropriately, the student research chair from 2012 to 2014. And then I took a year break, and then I got back into being the college division chair from 2017. And then when the society decided to change over to go from the representative assembly to what we currently have, our current structure, which is having 7 chair positions, became the director of digital media. Excuse me, I became the communications and marketing chair, which is what Chris is doing now. And then since March of 2020, perhaps my greatest blessing has come that the entire board at MoShape unanimously decided to vote me in to be a consultant, of which I report directly to the executive committee. And the reason why that is so important to me is I realized that through media communications, the reach, the engagement, also the power of the tool that we could have as a state, and many of you certainly have seen a lot of what we've done, especially since the pandemic began. And really my why really starts with having a servant's heart. And I just want to say I've been so blessed to work with so many people that are on this call through the years, you know, and all the things that we've done. And today, perhaps our work has never been more important because of the pandemic. Just to let you know, I mean, right now, what's trending nationally, which has given us a platform to speak out on, and that is mental health, as we all know, as well as adult well-being. And I take it as a very privileged opportunity to say that I can represent MoShape with Anna recently when we were on KMOX Talk Radio nationally. That's kind of something that's never happened before. So that's kind of what I've done in MoShape. So I've been part of the board. I understand the board structure. I certainly know the executive committee extremely well. I have everyone on speed dial, and we have, I believe, one of the best boards in the country, and we communicate very well. And then some other things that I do, and I'm sure you see around trade show, or excuse me, when we have the national convention, is I'm also a digital strategist with Shape America, provide coverage for them in helping bring media of what's going on at that event. And that's been doing that since Shape Tampa, which has kind of really changed the way that we cover conventions today. Patrick, I want to say thank you to you. You and I have been meeting for the last few weeks now, going over that media schedule. I'm coordinating with Chris and Anna also on this, but it's really important that work. And the other thing is I currently, every 2 weeks, I meet with Joey Martelli of Shape America so that we can not only collaborate like we've been doing, but ever since 2019, we coordinate all our media efforts so that we can leverage our platforms and we can leverage our messaging. It's very important. And then the last thing that I do in service to that's related to MoShape is I'm also the digital media strategist and promotions for Missouri Healthy Schools. That has been funded through an 1801 grant. And I think perhaps the most notable things that I've been part of that pertains to this group is certainly when we were coordinating and collaborating with the Missouri PTA, when they came to us and said, hey, we got 2 issues we'd like you to help solve a problem for. One was we're concerned about snacks, and number 2, we're concerned about physical activity. Sean Nevels was at that time was kind of kicked off the whole stuck at home recess. And then he was the one that recruited Spaker Spot. And then what was really cool about that is for 16 weeks, we had funded by the CDC through Missouri Healthy Schools, both Tasty Tuesday and Spaker Spot. And then that was later endorsed by the governor himself, Governor Parson of Missouri. So the impact of what we did last year in 2020 with again, the collaboration of MoShape has just been outstanding. And then most recently, Anna and I had the privilege and opportunity to be on the planning committee for media specifically at K-Shape, of which our efforts doing what we do here in MoShape, just duplicating with K-Shape, we were able to take that hashtag and get it to reach over 1.5 million in impressions, which even far exceeded what we've done with Shape America. So again, when we talk about impact, that's the kind of thing we're talking about here in MoShape. And then lastly is I'm also the co-author of 2 books. One is Health Fitness Management that I wrote 2.5 years ago. It's a textbook. And I wrote specifically on marketing programs. And then Dennis has got it up. And then just recently in the past month, launched the new book called Zagging, Building Advocacy Through Digital and Social Media. And what's great about that book is it really details what we do here at MoShape and Missouri Healthy Schools and somewhat of Shape America, of how we do our best practices, certainly also things you should stay away from. And then last but not least, it's a heavy focus on how we can advocate, certainly breaks down what we did last year in March with Chalk Your Walk. So again, that's just a brief background. So to kind of sum it up, you know, I've been all into MoShape and consider this to be some of the most meaningful work I've ever done in my entire life.
Guy, thank you so much. Yes, you've been at the heart of all of this so much, and just we really appreciate all of your zag, as I will say. And I know that there's so much more to go. I just want to take one moment before I turn it over to Chris for the next questions. If any of you have any questions about what Guy says, if you have any questions afterwards, if you want to say anything or comment, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and I will be watching that, and then we'll be addressing any of those things at the end of the evening tonight. So thank you again, Guy, for that first question of so much of your involvement. Your heart is clearly poured into what we do at MoShape. Chris, I'm going to let you take forward from here for the next questions.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, thank you, Anna. For those that do not know who I am, Guy mentioned it, I am Chris. I am the chair of marketing and communications for MoShape. It's awesome to see board members here, professionals here, and future professionals here. So thank you for joining. Guy, you kind of talked a little bit about your history and involvement and some of your accomplishments with MoShape. There's obviously a whole list of accomplishments we can go through, you know, multiple awards won in the past 2 years. I mean, you know, but let's move on to why do you want to be MoShape's president?
You know, to be honest, Chris, I think it's an extension of what I've been doing. I mean, I've been serving the executive board since 2018, really since Sandy's presidency, certainly then with Dennis's, and then, you know, currently here with Patrick. So it's kind of a natural progression because I have been reporting directly to the executive committee, and then certainly in the past year as a consultant, and being part of so many big decisions. And having that vantage point, that viewpoint. Also, I serve in other states as well, as I already said, you know, being on the strategic planning with the people like Stephanie Morris and their current president right now is Terry Drain, and their past president, or excuse me, President-elect Kim Ballard. So, you know, being at the very highest level as well and being in that advisory capacity has served me very well. And the cool part is a lot of what I do is really what we do here. That is part of our standard operating procedures. And really, why do I want to be president? It's pretty simple. I really want to help continue the momentum that MoShape is having. And so that the focus is going to be on how can we help, you know, provide whatever support that's going to look like to help produce better teachers, better administrators, certainly provide more and better resources as we face challenges that are certainly, you know, coming upon us. And I think one of the other things is just simply, you know, when I think about the why question, is I think I'm really excited to, you know, spend time listening to our members and getting more, more input from them. So that again, you know, as I quoted today on Twitter, I mean, really, we want to, you know, be listening to our members' voice and getting more people involved. And again, this is something that's not new to what we do in MoShape. Current presidents on the board right now all do this, and I just want to continue in that legacy.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that question. So the next question is, why do you feel like you are qualified to serve as the president for MoShape?
I'd like to start with, you know me, Chris, data drives decisions. I'd like to think that my body of work is very well documented with a track record of a lot of success in leadership positions within the organization. Not to say the stuff I do outside of the organization isn't, you know, also a great body of work, but again, it's that track record first and foremost. I also believe of having the experience of being able to manage and lead people, processes, and also the ability to execute. I think anyone who's ever worked with me, you know, I place a premium on strategic planning, using data, also looking at, hearing from different, vantage points when we're trying to tackle issues. And I think lastly, it's just really about, having a servant's, again, getting back to having a servant's heart and wanting to make the best decisions possible. And you know me, I don't like to waste time, because in media, I'm the first one up getting stuff posted, but it's not going to be any different again if I were to be the president-elect moving forward.
Awesome, thank you. You've talked a little bit about being a servant and things like that. So can you go ahead and, in a little bit more detail, describe your leadership style and how you plan to produce results for MoShape?
Sure. I think it always begins, and I got to give credit to, Dr. Dochev on this one, as I've heard him speak repeatedly on this topic. But really, it starts with servant leadership. In other words, we're here to serve first. And you look at the roles that I've been able, to be part of, all I've ever said is, hey, how can I help? Like, even in my role, Chris, when I had your position, I would work with our board of directors and say, hey, how can we help? How can we come alongside you? That's servant. I mean, that's just having a servant's attitude and a servant's heart. And again, trying to elevate, what we're trying to do. I also think it's, the other main leadership style is called situational leadership. And for those who may not be as familiar with that one, and really it's really about choosing the right leadership style for the right people. In other words, different people get motivated by different things. Like, I can talk to Anna a certain way, and Chris, I know I can talk to you a certain way, and I know I can talk to, what I'm saying? Like, you can talk to people in different ways. It's no different than when I used to be a coach, right? There's some athletes you kind of got to put your arm around, and some athletes, they like you to get amped up and riled up at times. That's a good thing, that rah-rah part, and everything in between. But being able to discern that in the situation, I think, is really important. And then I also think, when you ask me about, how do I plan to produce results, Chris, I think that's probably the most well-documented thing that I do. I mean, that I'm always, everything I do, I'm providing reports, I'm providing executive reports. I mean, I think sometimes, Patrick and Tom and Anna and Chris and Dennis, I think you've all seen me give you reports on some awesome things that have happened, even like as early as 5 a.m. when I start the media cycles, right? It's not going to change. I really get excited about producing results. And that's always been a part of who I am, as a leader, as a manager. And I just, would like to also say, how do we produce results? Again, it starts with taking input from people. It starts with generating ideas. I think the most famous of all was what happened when I got a call one day from Anna Forcelledo and says, hey, me and Christy Berry have been talking. This is last March 2020. Hey, we have this thing called Chalk Your Walk. And they want to do it like normally it would have taken us 3 to 4 months to do as an organization. And they're like, oh no, the time frame, we're going to do this in like 72 hours. I'm like, yeah, but how are we going to promote? Oh, don't worry, we'll go chalk our driveways. I'm like, okay. And then of course we did it. And what was the results of that? Well, again, it's obviously it made my book, right? Talk about one of the coolest stories ever. That Chalk Your Walk campaign for 48 hours, we generated user-generated content from 44 different states and 3 countries. And that was all generated by us as a team, especially when we were stuck at home and we knew we needed to do something. That's what I mean about, to answer your question about how do I plan to produce results. I think the other thing most recent though, is kind of like what we're doing with On the Move, right? And how important that is in terms of getting more school stories told. I know right now I had probably the best validation I've ever had in my professional career. Just a few days ago, or excuse me, a few weeks ago, I was asked to be on a call with the CDC nationally. And they flat out said to me and Laura Beckman that our On the Move videos, especially the one that we did that featured looking at the social and emotional well-being of teachers and administrators that we collaborated with, that video generated over 60,000 views, which was 10 times anything the CDC has ever collaborated with another state on. Now, Chris, guess what? As of today, this was verified in my 9:30 meeting that Anna actually was on with Missouri Healthy Schools. They have now asked us for the right of first refusal on our content, that they want to put it out through hashtag CDC Healthy Schools. Chris, that again is about producing results at the very highest level of the types of stories that we're able to package, that we're able to tell and share. Again, we've been doing this for what? For a few years, right? We've been leading the way in that area as just a simple example. So as far as producing results, the difference now is it's going to be about, hey, how can we get our board, even more involved, generate more ideas so that we can get more things going. And I mean, I think that's true of all the presidents whenever they get into this position. That's what we all want. That's why I love Patrick's theme, Level Up, because it's really about getting the members involved at different stages. And what I love about the convention, I don't want to give too much away, but Patrick, I got to give you credit on this one. You've given us a great start to the convention once it kicks off so that people can get involved and they can be part of what we're doing. And that's a great thing. So anyways, Chris, I hope that answers your question in terms of producing results.
Yes, thank you for that. So for those that do not know how this process works, so obviously this year, Patrick Fine is our president, and in 2022's convention, that will be Anna Forcelledo's presidency. So in 2023, the convention will be held, and what will you do for that convention that will excite our members?
Chris, for a guy who's known as zagging, do you really think I can reveal that right now? Come on. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, there's a few things. I think one thing, I think there's three things. I think the first thing is that we're going to be, my theme, now granted, this is not what it's going to be finalized as, but it's going to be about reimagine our future. And let me tell you why that's important. Because of our on the moves, we're talking to superintendents, we're talking to principals, we're hearing a lot of chatter. And we know that the way that we're currently assessing students because of the pandemic is changing. This is our opportunity for health education, for physical education, for wellness programming, that we have a chance now more than ever. I love this hashtag. PE is SEL. We have our opportunity. We have our window. I think that's also what excites me the most. So whatever it's going to take to have the sessions, to get people educated, to get people at that 2023 convention is going to be huge, because again, we are in a position where people are now having those conversations of what is education going to look like moving forward in the post, hopefully, COVID era, right? I also think, that I plan to use a variety of different types of sessions. There's some things I've learned from working with Shape America that you're going to see at Shape NOLA. I can't give all that out. And Chris, there's some things that we're going to be showcasing actually in just a few weeks that I know Patrick's going to do. And Anna, I've already talked to her on some things. We will be zagging big time on what we're going to do. And again, it's going to be an extension of some multimedia and certainly bringing in more keynote speakers. But one thing I will tell you that I learned from K-Shape that we will do, and actually we can start as early as, maybe Patrick's, for sure Anna's presidency, is mainstream media. I really wish that I would have thought about these things more intentionally at the time. Who could have ever possibly imagined that Chuck Walk would have done what it did? Who could have possibly imagined when Anna and I showed up at Kyle Salvo's school as they're celebrating their Health Moves Minds program, they raised $10,000. What compels a PE teacher to sleep overnight on a rooftop? And what do? We show up with this right here. And we go Facebook Live, and the next thing you know, what happens? Wow, helicopters the next morning are circling around, and there's a story being told, and the fact that he's associated with MoShape was huge for us locally. But then by 10 o'clock that next morning, ABC News out of New York contacted Kyle, they contacted me, and they wanted our Facebook Live footage. Chris, you're going to see more intentionality working with the mainstream media, including things like KMOX radio as well. So those are some of the things that I think will excite our members, when it gets time for my presidency. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm so jacked up about Level Up 2021, and I'm not going to tell them anything you're doing. You got Sunday to tell them everything you plan to do, but I'm looking forward to serving, Patrick and Anna during their presidencies.
Awesome. Thank you, Guy, for answering that question as well. So we're done with the actual question. So Guy, before we end the show, any closing remarks or words you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think one thing that's perhaps unique in my situation, because I have been serving the board, since 2018, the executive committee specifically, is understanding how we operate very well. So it's not like I'm a rookie taking over where I'm just going to be sitting and just observing. I know that I've talked with Patrick, I've talked with Tom, I've certainly, and Ann and I have talked at length on this. You know, one of the things that I will do that we're taking the lead of what Shape America does. For example, Terry Drain's currently the president for Shape America, but she has given some assignments to Kim Ballard as president-elect to do some initiatives so that they're getting more done during that presidency term. And Ann and I have already talked, and one of the things that I plan on doing to serve our, society is going to be working on procuring more funding, whether it's through grants, sponsorship, partnerships. Again, as I work very closely with Anna and our executive committee and board of directors on that. And that's something that I know that's really important for us moving forward. Now, what might that lead to? Might lead to research opportunities for people like Abigail that I see there, for the people who are future professionals. I know our university, we're really excited about trying to get some more funding. You know why, Chris? Here's what's interesting right now. The CDC is saying they want more data, they want more data, they want more data on the impact of things like even self-care. These spell opportunities for universities all over our state that we can get involved, especially if there's funding involved. That's something else that Ann and I have talked about, Patrick and I have talked about, that makes sense for us. It's in our wheelhouse. It aligns with our vision and our mission. So those are things that I will certainly be involved in, again, if given the opportunity. And then lastly, and I think this goes without saying, that we're not just going to have a Missouri Healthy Schools on the move, but we're going to make our own for MoShape as well, so that we can tell more stories of the awesome things that are going on in schools. We have to. And the reason why it's so important is because it builds credibility. It certainly is, they're used as conversation starters. In some cases, they lead to funding. But the whole thing is, if we don't do these things right now, Chris, this is our window. We'd never have had this kind of opportunity in the past where people are actually looking at us, our profession, and like, hey, what answers or what solutions do you have? And that's what probably excites me. You know, again, with what Patrick's doing, certainly when Anna, the gavel's passed on Sunday on the 14th, that's immediately something, Chris, you and I will be coordinating as well. And Chris, I got to give you a lot of credit. Great job on building the marketing communications team with the additions of Danielle and Drew Burse. Are you kidding me? These are like all pros. I can't wait to get them more involved in what we do. So I think those are some of the things that, Chris, I'll be involved in as president-elect. So it's not like I'm just going to be sitting back and learning. The best part is I've been working with Anna for over 2 years now. We serve on so many committees. We did K-Shape together. I mean, talk about stressful pressure situation, first live convention in 505 days. And we were running the media, as well as Anna had something like, I don't know, 10 sessions. I had like 4. But
11 sessions in 3 days.
11.
Yeah.
but the whole point is, Chris, the playbook is what we've been doing, and we've been doing it for quite some time. And that's what is exciting me is, again, I can step in right away. No rookies here, expected to produce, just like I've been doing in all the other roles I've ever done. So with that, I just really would like to thank again our executive committee, our board of directors. You guys are amazing, absolutely amazing. And last but not least, and most importantly, our members. And I'm just going to say this one last thing. Here's my zag. One of the things that I'm committed to is I want to help with Anna and with our executive board and our board of directors. I want us to connect our past to our present. In other words, we have got past presidents, we've got past board members that have done amazing things in their time, and they're still on the front lines, whether administrators or teachers, it doesn't matter. But we have an opportunity to learn from their wisdom, even where we're at today, get them to be a voice, get them, if they want to get involved in some capacity. Well, we definitely want to connect our past to our present as we lead to our future. That is something I can tell you, it's going to be certainly something will be done during my presidency, again, if given the opportunity. So with that, again, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here as the president-elect candidate.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking time to join us. If you have questions for Guy, like Anna said earlier, please type them in the chat. We're going to answer them at the end of this town hall meeting. Those for President-elect starts on Monday, November 1st, and it will end at noon on November 13th. This Saturday, we are at the lake. You will receive email on how to do the voting process. Do not forget to register and join us at the lake for our Level Up 2021 convention, November 12th through 14th. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and have a wonderful night.